When both players are ready, we will step into the ring and have the 10th of the Scrapstar Series commence. Ah, tea is hot. Alright, so we've got ourselves a Min facing off against Twintel. I do know a bit about Kozalina. This is their first time participating in this event. I have seen them before fighting in... Oh god, that's really bad. I have seen them before fighting in... or participating in casual arms events. It looks like they have changed up their loadout a little bit since last time I saw them. But it looks like for the most part they still have a pretty similar loadout. They're going to play pretty patiently, play pretty smart with their moves. There, that's a lot better. Oh no, that's not. I just need to fix this. Just almost here. Oh god, it's even worse now. We're almost there. Hold on. Why is it not fixing? What the heck am I resizing? Oh, I'm not even resizing, it's just being moved. No, oh, okay, I see what's going on. Yeah. I'm just gonna do that. Start it again. Like about there. And that's good. Alright. Match to decide Ireland's champion. We haven't started that. We're not that far in yet, Replicant. These two could easily meet up later on in the brackets, and we could easily see these two just really going in against each other later on. Starting things off, though, Kozalina is going to be able to persevere against Yam with a pretty effective patient play, just baiting out a lot of Yam's attacks and capitalizing on them with some strong punishes. This second round going in, Kozalina starting off with a very strong advantage, but Yam starts to find that momentum, and that Roaster Ice Dragon combo is really giving Koza a lot of trouble. So much so that Koza is now one hit away from getting KO'd, and has to be especially careful. That charge tribal not going to be enough, as Yam takes a round for themselves. Diving straight into this next round, Yam chooses to put the Ice Dragon away, looking for a little bit more, a tool a little bit more reliable in this matchup. Something a little more consistent. But so far, struggling to handle the Kozalina and their pressure as they get frozen and caught off in a grab. Kozalina still has yet to take any damage and is holding onto a very sizable lead. With that platform broken open, this is a much more difficult match for Yam to be able to work with, as Kozalina can just focus on evasive safe play, and it's going to be such a more difficult time for Yam. But Yam going to be able to slip in, baits out an attack, and is going to capitalize on it with a very strong rush. Yam gets another snipe in and is just looking for a little bit more damage to take Kozalina down, but does have to be careful because any combo Kozalina can throw out is going to be enough, and that rush is going to take Yam down, giving Kozalina the first game. Alright, so Kosalina is going to be successful in that first round, finding that small window to get that rush to slip in after doing an impeccable job, just slowly working Yam down, just so that that rush was all that Kosa was really needing. Now Yam gonna pick from the remainder of stages. I'm guessing we're probably gonna want to go. Yam's gonna want to go to somewhere a little more open, which means Temple Grounds likely will be a good pick, or Buster Beach. It's. I always love playing that game. I love the good reads on the stages. Alright, so we are going to be set up to be heading straight into Temple Grounds. Both players stepping right back into the ring. This is probably going to help Yam a little bit more. He's likely going to want to be able to utilize... The Parasol is going to be a swap in along with the Mander. These could be two very effective arms. If used well, in just general pressure, the Parasol is going to actually be a really nice counter to that Tri-Bolt. But there is a caveat, a risk to it, as it does have a decent amount of retract time on it. It also makes you very vulnerable if you miss with it. So Yam really wants to just be on point with it, utilize its pressure capability effectively. Otherwise, Kosalina will have an easy time working around it. That wind element also very effective, as that's going to be extremely safe opportunities for Yam to get rush confirms, safe dragon arms, and just gain a lot of neutral. So anytime Kosalina is punished by that Parasol, it's just going to be rough. Yam also going in with a pretty difficult loadout for rushes right here. The Mander Parasol. Definitely going to have to understand the implications of a wind confirm with these two other arms, as there's very likely few other chances that Yam's going to be able to get that rush to stick. Tries to go in for some pressure, is going to throw out the rush, but Kosalina going to safely block it, holding onto a light health lead. Kosalina really trying to take advantage of Twin Tail's capabilities, playing very patiently, trying not to get too caught out by anything. But with only a few seconds left on the clock, Kosalina has a very slight health deficit, but gets a nice read on that shield, is going to throw out a successful grab, and that's going to be the time. Kosalina taking the first game. Heading straight into our next round. Kosalina sticking with their loadout. Yam continuing to utilize that Parasol. It does cause Kosalina a little bit more trouble with theirs, as that the Tri-Ball and the Chilla can just really struggle against it. But there's a lot of room just to slip around that Parasol. It has a very clear tell for when it's coming out. So as long as you're just focused on working around that, you're going to have a fairly easy time. Sees a moment to dive straight in for the rush. Kosalina going to land 230 damage and confirm a light lead against Yam. Kosalina in a very strong position. Twin Tail is exceptional in the lead, as soon as Twin Tail has that advantage, Twin Tail, or any player of Twin Tail knows that you can just slow the match down to a crawl, utilizing that Starstruck, and just waiting out, see what your opponent does, and you can get these really strong counters. We also saw exactly what I was talking about, Yam trying to throw out that rush, and just missing hard. Parasol, Slapamander are both single burst rushes, which means that if they miss the first time, chances are the opponent's going to be able to get out of the way and get a very safe shield. And we see that once again, Yam trying to go in for what would have been a sizable amount of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Last few seconds, and it's going to be time. Kosalina timing Yam out a second round game and takes the set. Kosalina will be moving on in the brackets, taking down Yam, and will be next facing off against Iceman. I'll update the score for those two. Oh, nope. Bam. And with that, we are going to move over and have our next match be... Oh, here, I gotta go into... We'll start off round 2 now. And we're gonna have JK face off against Okrim. As our next match. We'll save Rifa for later on in the brackets. And we're definitely going to see more of him later on. We don't need to see Iceman. We already see... we see him a lot too. We're going to see more of him later on. So we're going to go with these two. Two amazing players. We get a decent amount of them here and there. But I honestly say we never get enough of either of them. And it looks like they're going to be starting off with Dan's Lab. The Helix platform of slimy tubes and protection. And we got that. There. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we're gonna have Okrim and JK heading into this ring. I don't know. Words. I like tomatoes. Hello! Ahoy, Albarks! I should also say hello to Rapid, as I don't recall seeing too much of you. Albarks, I'm just gonna give you a heads up. I see that it was in jest, which is all good and dandy. Not that word, though. That one C word in particular. Beyond that, it's cool to see you drop by. And I'm glad to see you checking out some cool matches, some cool games. I'm guessing that you're alone cheering on Kosalina as well, who was able to take Yam down 2-0 and will be moving on to face off against Iceman. Alright, everything is all set. We are ready to go. I'm fine with most language. That one's... yeah. Got a bit of trash talk going on in the Discord. Some scary beefy people being scary beefy. I'm itching to play Celeste again. I haven't played it for a while. And by for a while, I mean like a week. Not even a week. I need to get back into that. I need to play that game more. I want to get to the end of it. But I'm not going to be able to do that because the update isn't out yet. It's frustrating. Heading into our next match, we are going to have Okrim going in with Max Brass wielding... Is that a double fun chuck? Nah, he's going to go roaster fun chuck. Okay. And JK going in with a roaster Slamamander. I was going to say that's pretty aggressive of Okrim to go in if he was going to choose to go double fun chuck. Max Rass's big beefy state could actually really work well with double fun chuck too, because once he gets some tempo, he gets two giant spinning fun chucks, and those things would just be so hard to contend with. But there's also a lot of weakness of utilizing two fun chucks. I personally recommend the single fun chuck that Okrim has equipped here, as that's going to give him a lot of good defensive options to counter things like the Slam Mander. It's also a pretty solid grab tool, or flinch into grab combo tool, if you're close enough. Starting things off, Okram started off very strong. Within the first 50 seconds has knocked JK below 50% health, and only just now starting to catch up, or JK only just now starting to knock Okram below 75. JK still ready with a rush. If he gets one more win confirmed, that could actually be enough damage. He's going to start closing in that distance, trying to pressure Okram to get a nice window. And he's going to dive right in, but Okram, ready for it, is going to safely block. Almost takes a shield breaker, but he's still in it just for a few seconds. But a quick couple of chip hits. But the grab is going to be enough in the last second. Okram, with a single frame of health, is going to take JK down. Diving straight into our next round, JK going all in on the Manders. We've got ourselves some breezy slaps coming right in. A little, could be potentially risky if Okram is effectively using the Funchuck to parry those Manders down, as it can just allow for him to get some really nice parries and just windows to get some strong punishes. Funchuck being a very strong and well-designed arm for countering a lot of curve tools. JK trying to throw that yellow mask on so that he could get that shield with rush, but Okram going to quickly slap him down. But JK finds another chance to get in there. Does have to be careful. He does have a very strong rush, and with that mask, throwing out rush can be very safe. But if he misses out on this, which is very likely to do considering he's got 2 Mander arms equipped, Okram could easily just shield this out. That pressure that JK trying to implement with the yellow mask just not working out. He's going to drop it, and he's just going to get back to trying to play some strong neutral game where the Manders shine the most. Rush isn't necessarily too scary on them. If they do connect, that is going to be a heavy amount of damage. But you generally get the most out of the Manders just in general neutral play. If you go for a rush, there's a lot of cases where you will get countered. Oh. I have too many options here. I need a command just to scroll up and down. Actually. Oh! If I'm just like that, yeah, I can just keep watch on that way. Alright, so Okram gonna take JK down in this first round. In this first game. In an advantage point right now. And we are going to be heading to Buster Beach as our next stage. JK making a swap over. He's done. He's finished with all this stuff. He's going in hardcore, and out comes Springman. Ready to take the belt from Captain Brass. JK going in with Toaster, Megaton, Slapamander. A very interesting loadout. It's got there's a lot of tools on there that can be relatively risky to utilize, specifically that Megaton. But against Brass, I'm not expecting to see it very much. There's a good chance that he's probably going to utilize the Mander or just the Toasters. And that's what we're seeing right now as JK starts off with some strong hot pressure coming in from these 2 Toasters, battering down Okram and giving JK a light lead. Okram going in for a couple of greedy grabs is going to get caught out as JK able to utilize the deflective Springman and keeps himself in a solid lead. Okram gonna get caught out by another couple of Toasters, and JK now just looking for 1 or 2 more hits to be able to get that KO, but it's not going to be from that rush as Okram going to be able to safely block it out. Okram now quickly capitalizing on this rush that he has, trying to silence the flame of Springman with some heavy pressure, but he's gonna get knocked down by his own nade as JK is able to punch it down. Just when Okram was really gonna start getting some momentum going for himself. But that's the danger of nade. It can, while it does an intense amount of damage, it has the potential to just blow up on yourself, and it can cost you many rounds, much like that one. This round starting off very much more in in Okram's favor, as he's going to throw out a hefty rush and deal 345 and follow up with a grab, knocking JK into the red. JK in enraged state is going to be able to start dealing out some strong damage, but Okram just playing very patiently now, utilizing the shield and just trying to bait out some kind of grab, some kind of punish that he might be able to set up, but he's not going to be ready to throw out an attack on that grab. And JK is rewarded with some light damage. That's going to be a stun. Okram not fast enough to go for a grab, but does get the nade to connect. JK now just a hit away from being KO'd, but does have a rush, and that can take away a lot of health from Okram if he's not careful. Going to get caught out as JK gets a strong read on that window. Okram dropping his guard just a frame too early, or too late. And that's going to allow JK now to be in a position where he only needs a little bit more damage. And it's going to be another grab reaching right into Okram with a few seconds left. Okram, likely wanting to hold on to this rush, is going to choose to just throw it out at in these last few moments and brings the score to 1-1. JK needs to take this round if he wants to stay on the winner's side of the brackets. Okram just a round away. If he's able to take JK down here, he will be moving on, and JK will have to move into the lower end. JK starting off very strong though, getting some very effective pressure, recognizing that shield that Okram just had sitting out, and he's going to land 150 damage on that grab. Okram, initializing a very hoppy strategy, is going to get sniped down, but now going to finish himself off once more with another stray nade explosion. JK bringing the score to 1-1. And here we have a strong reminder why nade isn't always the safest tool. You have to be careful with that one, because there's a lot of cases where you just throw that out, or you just have it charged on you, and that's just going to give your opponent a lot of free safe damage so that they can just poke that arm rather than going straight after you. JK swapping back to Masango for this next round, likely hoping that he's going to have a little bit more accessibility, as he's banned a couple of stages that he feels are really bad for Masango. And he's going to go right back in, this time with Nade Mander instead of Roaster. This can be a little less effective against Okram when he's in an armored state, but it's going to be a lot more effective at making sure that Okram isn't able to get into a buff state. Unfortunately, if Okram has tempo, he's going to be that much more difficult to fight back against, as we're seeing Mango just get plowed through and is immediately knocked into critical within the first few rounds of the match. JK finally finds a chance to throw on a mask, starts getting some charge, and now Okram not able to get into his buff state. Has to keep up that pressure to make sure that JK isn't able to get into any strong state either. And he's going to get a nice grab. Now just looking for a single more hit. JK has to be careful of causing a self-explosion or just getting caught out by that roaster. Okram taking that first round very confidently. JK gonna get a good punish on that grab attempt that Okram's gonna throw out. And that's gonna allow JK to start off with some nice pressure, getting a couple of solid hits with that nade. And getting some very nice reverse tempo from what was the previous round. Slowly getting backed into a corner though, he's running out of options. Chooses to throw out the rush, but Okram gonna be able to safely block it and gets a successful grab. JK in a very rough place is going to be able to slip right between the cracks, gets a strong grab in there, and now has thrown Okram into enrage. Sees a nice moment to go in for the shield, but he's still got a little bit more damage to do to take Okram down. And unless he gets a nice charged hit, it's potentially very unlikely. He does find a charged Mander though, and brings the score to 1-1. Both players continue to stick with their loadout. Okram just going to start off on the aggression. But that's only going to work out in JK's favor, as now he has a rush ready, gets a strong nade hit, and is able to push Okram into the corner. Okram choosing not to utilize the shield, tries to dive in to get a quick punch, but he's going to get caught out and is now in critical health. JK gets a nice hit with that Mander and is now just looking for a final hit to take JK down. And it's going to be a quick clip of the nade, going to be just barely enough, allowing JK to move on in the brackets. Next up, we will have our next stream be... Let's have Rifa and Grimwood hop in here. Let's see. Alright, everything should be set up for these two. Oh, there's so many games that are coming out soon too that I'm like really wanting to get my hands on, but I'm just not gonna have the time for some of them. Oh, I want to get into Super Mario Maker 2. That's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so amazingly good to be able to play that game. I never played the first Mario Maker, so it's gonna be really fun to be able to get into the second one. Oh yeah, I need to gender shift. Let's do a gender shift. Bam. Cyndi Lauper. I already feel unusual, so it's perfectly fine. Works out. And there he is. Oh, hello there, Tom. I've also sent a message to a small side group that does PAX things. Because, if I'm not mistaken, on PAX East, they had a side arms event. And I'm going to check to see if they've got an arms event for the West side. Because if they do, I'm definitely going to PAX West then for that. Even if it's a small locals thing, essentially. I want to go to PAX West to participate in the thing. I want to see all the other cool stuff. I've never been to a PAX. I want to go to one. I'm just getting into the habit of traveling all over the place. Heading straight into our next match, Rifa will be facing off against Grimwood. Grimwood gonna go in with Springman. Not necessarily the most popular of his picks, but he has had success utilizing Springman against Rifa's Ninjara before. And he's looking to utilize that exact same loadout once again. Starting off with a light lead too, getting a couple of quick hits in there. and just causing some strong pressure on Rifa. Rifa slowly getting a couple on quick hits of his own, is slowly evening this out, just making sure neither side has too much of an advantage. But that can easily change as both are now ready with the rush. Any good read could easily turn the tides of this round. And it's going to be Grim heading in first, lands the finishing touch and lands a hefty 305, followed by a charge roaster. Rifa caught out by another blast of these double gloves, the flurry that Grimwood is just throwing out, trying to overwhelm Rifa and just prevent him from really having that room that he wants to get this momentum going, get that movement so he can get those strong punishes. And Grim gonna leap right into a hefty 280 damage rush, gonna quickly build up a rush of his own, but he just might not have the chance as Rifa's just looking for a single more hits to take Grim down, and it's going to be a dragon sniping him as he lands straight on the ground, unable to pull out a shield in time. Heading straight into this next round, Grimwood in a much more advantaged state, gets the first couple of hits, and he's going to be able to throw out that rush. Connects for 175. Rifa is staying out of the way for quite some time. Rifa now quickly charging up a rush of his own, will likely have the ability to use it right away. Grimwood definitely has to be very careful of it, as it could, if that thing connects, that's going to likely give Rifa, or balance out these health wheels and put Rifa in an advantage state potentially. Grim gets a couple of nice reads though, and he's going to be able to just cement himself a pretty sizable lead. Gets caught out by the Tri-Blast, and Rifa going to finally get his first hit in, follows it up with an uncharged dragon and a disarm, slowly starting to bring things back, but Grimwood does have another rush ready, just needs to find an opportunity to get it out. That rush could potentially take Rifa down if he gets it to connect fully. That's not going to be the full hit, but 265 is going to make it so that he can just find one more strong hit to take Rifa down. Rifa in a very advantaged state, but we saw Rifa bring it all the way back from even this position just the round before. But it's going to be a freeze, goes in for the grab, but was just too far away. A charge Chilla is going to be able to connect though, and Grim takes the next round. Heading into this next round, both players just going to keep sticking with these loadouts. These two have fought many a times. They know each other. They know how this match will play out, and generally are going to stick with these tools. Rifa going in with the Mana instead of the Ice Dragon here, potentially just not getting the ice chains that he was wanting off of this. Grimwood starting off with some light advantage once again. Just every round just starting off very strong, but as soon as Rifa's finding that momentum, he's really making Grimwood just struggle. Cancels out Grimwood's rush, and now Rifa in a very strong position. Going to just continue to poke down Grim, not even utilizing his rush yet. Continuing to just throw out small hit after small hit, and he's going to get another knockdown. And without utilizing his rush yet, is now capable of getting a KO on Grim if he gets it to connect fully. And this rush is going to be it! Rifa taking the first round. And we're just going to have a brief moment, so I'm going to take this advantage to use the washroom because I drink too much tea. Actually, no. You know what? We've got something better we can do with this brief moment. Do you guys like Masango? He's a pretty cool character, right? What do you think about JK? What do you think about, I don't know, Nihilus? Some pretty cool people, eh? Both play Masango pretty well, both part of the EU community, both pretty loved and cherished by a lot. What if they were to do battle together? What if there was a first to 10 of Nihilus facing off against JK? Going on April 24th. Is that 6 p.m. CEST on Penzo's Twitch channel? Maybe it might be a cool thing to watch. Maybe not. We'll have to see. Yeah. I'm gonna go. You guys stare at this for a moment and listen to the music. Oh, nope. I think Grimwood's back. So, we're just gonna clear this off. You guys definitely want to drop by, check this out. It'll be a pretty cool match. But let's head back to the Scrapstar Series, where we will be facing off in Buster Beach. No, this time it was just the toilet. Grimwood gonna switch over to Ribbon Girl to face off against Rifa in this beach. I'm not sure if this is a good stage for Ribbon Girl. Ah, there. Heart attacks. Okay, so what happened? There's a couple of important things to do to be able to recognize that you have a heart attack. Actually, fun fact, did you know apparently women have different symptoms for heart attacks compared to men? Most of the symptoms that we generally go for, most of the things that people are usually looking at to be like, oh, what are these, what's going on? This is how you tell if you have a heart attack. Those are mostly just men things. Apparently women have like a bunch of different symptoms, so there's a lot of cases where women are just diagnosed poorly because they have heart attacks differently. See, that's probably what happened here, as Grim is used to being a male, but he switched over to Ribbon Girl, and he's not aware of how Ribbon Girl might have a heart attack. So, when he steps into the ring, doesn't notice, and immediately falls. I'm gonna go to the washroom while they're doing this. I'll be right back. I didn't have an ad that time, so I didn't do any advertisement. That's why I did that. But yes, make sure it's important to actually. That is an interesting thing about this world. Apparently, it's all kind of built around this guy called. Let's see, the world is built around default man. Okay, yeah. So there's a guy called Default Man, and he's a white male about, I don't know what the height is he specifically is, but he's got all these very specific details, and the world not the world isn't built around Dio. It's built around Default Man. Like everything from doors to most clothing. Is this guy, this man, and this how a lot of things work. So, if you don't fit into these characteristics, which, spoiler alert, most women don't, because we generally are A, not male, and B, our averages are slightly different, especially transgender women or transgender males. We really don't fit in with these categories. So, yeah, we're just not nearly as in safe places as a lot of men are when it comes to driving, because it's not designed for us. General work is not designed for us. It's crazy. All the technology is built around this specific random guy. Default man. He's a pretty... I'm not sure about him. He's a probably alright guy. He's like not too radical. He's not too crazy. He's probably pretty neat. He's got a couple cool stories here and there, but I don't think he's interesting enough for the world to be built around him. You don't like Default Man? Everything's too small for me? Exactly! Like, he's kind of a jerk. Well, it's not necessarily Default Man's fault that the world works this way. It's the fact that other people decided to idolize Default Man and put him in such a high place. He probably really doesn't like having this much attention. I don't think many people would. Alright, heading back into the stage, then this match. Rifa going to go in, continue going in with the Najara, Tri-Blast, Slam, Amander. Grimwood abandoning Springman. It was working out pretty well for him, but it seems like Grimwood has an idea that he might be able to get Ribbon Girl to work out a bit better for him. So far, though, not necessarily getting that, as Rifa is just starting off with a pretty strong pressure lead, and has Rush ready, can easily just combo chain Grim down and take the first round, and he's going to dive right in for it. Currently holding on to a perfect and is just looking for one more hit. That's going to connect. Rifa takes the first round with a perfect. A very dominant perfect as well, just Grimwood really was not able to keep up with him. Grim gonna throw out a rush. It's gonna finally connect at the last tail end, just barely evading getting punished out by a Slamamander. Gets a couple of strong hits in there, and Grim is gonna start off with a light lead, starting to get some momentum, getting a couple of better options out, and just playing a little bit better, utilizing that toaster just a bit more effectively. Grim gonna knock Rifa into the red. Now Rifa low on health. Both players just about ready with a rush, but we're not going to see that as another quick 1-2. Allows pretty much a reverse, as Grimwood is now taking a round with a very dominant lead. Grim switching over from the Mander to the Ice Dragon in response to this. That could be a little risky to use on Ribbon Girls, though I'm guessing he has a lot of experience in knowing how to fight back against a Ribbon, utilizing the Ice Dragon. Considering he's used this loadout longer than most people have played ARMS. Grim going to start off in advantage, throwing out his rush, but Rifa going to start to try to pressure Grimwood out, just throwing out a wall of attacks. Grim safely dodging out of the way of so many of these strikes, just finding these opportunities to not get caught out too hard. But off of what was just a light rush, Rifa, with a few strong hits, is just going to be able to quickly even this health pool out and brings himself into a very light lead. Gets a nice confirm off of that hit, and he's going to land 350 damage. Rifa now in a very dominant position, going to get caught out by that Tri-Bolt. But Grimwood still has a massive hill to climb to bring this back. That's going to be a strong rush as Rifa walks straight into it though. 310 damage. And that's difference, not necessarily as different as it once was. A couple of quick hits, and that's going to give Grimwood a light lead. But he's going to lose it as Rifa gets a good read on a grab opportunity. And time ticks down. Rifa takes one more point and is going to move on in the brackets. Oh, that's the wrong person. Bam. It looks like that. Now, Ribbon Girl started working out a little bit better, but just was not able to make its way through in the end. Rifa was able just to overwhelm it. And was successful in claiming victory against Grimwood. That last minute grab and Grim just throwing out that shield at the exact time, it worked out so well for Rifa. He knew exactly what he was doing. Alright, so we're just waiting to see, unless the two started. Please tell me they didn't start. They didn't! Oh, praise Helix! JK is here. I am Hap. And Rifa giveth, and then Rifa taketh away. Exactly. That is the way of Rifa. You just can't, you can't mess with the man. If you give him an inch, you lose the match. And we're going to start off our first match in DNA Lab. So this is JK. I want to see more JK. He needs to get that. I want to see him master the art of the Masango, because he's gonna need all of the skills to handle Nihilus. What the heck was that noise? Oh, it's the test tubes. That was so confusing. Alright, heading into this first match, Iceman gonna go in with Sparky Ice Dragon. JK rocking the Nade Mander here. And Iceman's going to be the one to start off on top, getting a quick stun grab combo, but ends up getting caught out by a Mander, giving JK some time to throw on the blue mask. Now both players moving at exceptional speeds. This is definitely Sonic Racing right here, ladies and gentlemen. JK going to land a successful nade hit. Holt is at a health deficit right now, but a strong rush from either side could easily turn the tides or just cement this difference so much more. And as we're seeing players become more comfortable with their rushes and understand their capabilities more and more, these things are hitting harder and harder, and we're seeing things like 385 damage off of these rushes. Just basically taking almost half of an opponent's health away. A nice stun into an Ice Dragon. That's going to be enough? No! Just barely by 5 damage. But an Ice Dragon will pierce that barrier. DNA Man is down. Masango falls with him. JK swapping things. Neither player swapping things up, choosing to just stick with their initial loadouts. JK definitely was not ready for that, as generally what a lot of people are used to is those pillars have 3 hits, the 3rd hit will still absorb a blow, and then the pillar will fall. Unless you're keeping track of that pillar's health, there's a lot of cases where you're probably going to just assume that it might have another 1 or 2 hits in it, and that something like an Ice Dragon isn't going to pierce through. It is important to keep in mind, though, that with those pillars, multi-shot tools like the Ice Dragon, like most light arms, like any curve arm as well, those all, on the final hit, will be able to continue sending the projectiles out, and can be used for some very strong punishes. Without these pillars to protect Iceman, though, JK gonna get some strong tempo and is able to take Iceman down, bringing the score to 1-1. Iceman putting the Ice Dragon away now that he doesn't have the pillars to protect himself, and is going to try to utilize the Chakram here in this match. Two very good stun combo arms, but he's got to be careful as JK does have a very strong shield if he throws out any grabs, but he's going to be able to find a nice opportunity to just break right through that. And overwhelms JK's rush for 265 damage. JK just not able to keep up with that momentum as the Chalcum just overwhelms both of his arms. JK throwing on the red mask is in an advantage position though. He's gonna start bringing things back, has a lot of ground, and is just putting a lot of pressure on Iceman with those giant weighty arms and a very strong shield to protect himself from the wrath of that Chakram. Iceman quickly charging up a rush. JK would have wanted to try to land it before Iceman could have his chance to throw his out, but there was just not enough time. JK tries to catch him off guard, but Iceman is going to be quick and ready to respond and is able to take the first round, overwhelming JK. It would be cool if PAX West had arms. I sent a tweet to somebody. I hope they respond with a yes. And not just dead silence. Cause it would be cool if arms was there. And right now I don't know if it is. And I would like to know if it is or not. That said, PAX West is still a little whiles away, so I'm guessing they're just not focused on too much of that conversation right now. Heading into this next round, we are going to have both of them facing off in Buster Beach. Buster Beach being a really good stage for pressure and a strong aggression, which both characters can do relatively equally. I would definitely say Min Min might be a little more advantage here, and we're going to see that as Iceman is able to just get a couple of very strong hits, a couple of nice grabs, and gives himself a lead. This is a really good stage for the Red Mask though. If JK is able to close in that distance and with a Red Mask, there's a good chance he might be able to overwhelm Iceman. But the hard part is finding that mask to get it on and start snuffing that flame out. JK now ready with a rush, and Iceman ready with a rush of his own. He's gonna use that rush just to kind of block out whatever Iceman might have in plan. Iceman though purposefully baiting it out so that JK did not have that rush available to him. But he's gonna get sniped or slipped right out of that by a grab. And now one hit away, another grab catching that landing is going to bring the score in favor of JK. Iceman changing things up is going to put on the Ice Dragon here. Going to try to lean a little bit harder in focusing on utilizing the stage's long hallway. But with a blue mask Misango just chasing you down, that can be a little bit easier said than done. Starts off pretty strong though with a couple of quick pokes and a grab confirm, allowing that Sparky to go full on dragon sized. Iceman now looking for just a single confirm to potentially get the KO on JK. But JK starting to get some momentum going for himself. Has Iceman pushed into the corner and chooses just to throw out that rush in fear of some manner of a punish. Iceman recognizing that just safely shields it out. JK throwing on the yellow mask, looking to get a little bit more rush. Tries to go in for the shield. But Iceman going to be able to recognize that, dive straight in with the grab, and takes a round for himself. Heading right into our next round, JK going to start off with a nice shield and punish off of Iceman's rush, utilizing that pillar and the Mander. A good a solid shield on JK's part is going to allow him to break out of the ice This second time, though, Iceman just going to choose to wait things out, get the Dragon Arm off that freeze, and now has a lot more momentum on his side. JK going to see a moment to dive in for the rush, but Iceman going to be able to slip right out of the way, just barely barely getting scathed. A quick stun, and that's going to be a close range rush, a heavy 375. JK hoping that there was enough space for him to get that shield, chooses to take the loss here, and Iceman going to move on in the brackets. Oh, I did it wrong again. Getting taken down 2-0. Hey, funny. Both of the semifinals were 2-0s. Ha ha ha, funny. Jokes. So next up, we are going to have Iceman facing off against JK, or Iceman facing off against Rifa. It's the match. This is the match that usually goes on. These two are very top players. Iceman, Yada, Rifa, 3 of the best players out there. Alright, looking over in the lower end of the brackets, it looks like Kozolino was able to take Okram down 2-0 and will be moving on to face off against Grimwood. Penzo besting Yam 2-1 is currently in a duel with Disarmser and will be facing off against Jake. Whoever wins will be facing off against JK in the lower round 3s. Rifa is hot. This is accurate. This is accurate information that I appreciate you telling me. And as is with these two, we will be starting off in Temple Grounds. Iceman going in with Min Min. Rifa. Guns blazing is going to stick with Ninjara. Both players choosing to just go all out. And we have once again are going to be starting off with a double dragon match off. Both players utilizing their own ice dragons to try to freeze down their opponent. Rifa starting off with a quick ice chain, getting some nice damage in. Iceman has already put in a decent amount on Rifa as well. That freeze is going to be something that Iceman going to quickly try to capitalize on. But because of that knockdown, just unable to close in the gap in time. Tries to dodge out of the way, is going to be successful for a moment, and Rifa going to get sniped down for 205 damage. Tries to close in the distance, utilizing that Dragon Chakram, but it's not going to be able to catch Rifa. He gets a quick punish. Both players just going back and forth with these hits. Iceman finally starting to get some manner of a lead here, but he's going to quickly lose it to another uncharged Ice Dragon. But he gets a freeze himself, and he's going to go straight in for the grab. And that's going to be the first round going to Iceman. Rifa, unfortunately, not feeling very hot, getting frozen down time and time again by these shots. Rifa quickly charges up a rush, has his ready. Iceman readies with their own, and Rifa gonna quickly try to dodge out of the way. Gets hit by 95 damage out of that rush, and he's gonna dive right over it. Gonna get caught out by the Chakram, and that cements Iceman with a strong tempo lead. But it's going to quickly be taken away as Rifa just gets a couple of strong, quick hits in there. And balances out those health pools. Even a whiff rush sometimes just isn't going to be that much of a deficit. Especially when your opponent was just that close to you in the first place. Tries to close him out a second time. Rifa only going to get caught by the finishing touch, taking 30 damage. Neither player being fully hit by a rush yet this round. If Rifa can get this rush to connect, that will be a very solid KO. Or he could just potentially get a couple of safe pokes in, and a final uncharged Ice Dragon is going to be enough to bring the score to 1-1. Heading into our next round, Iceman, putting the Ice Dragon away, is now going in with Sparky Chakram, a much more consistent, a lot more steady, and should be able to allow Iceman to get a couple more potential confirms. Rifa gonna just continue throwing in pressure, trying to wall Iceman down, and is gonna start off with a very light lead, and is going to be able to overwhelm or catch Iceman just before his rush comes in, so he's not able to utilize it yet, allowing Rifa to have some strong momentum in a light lead. Ket gets caught out by the rush, taking 195 damage. But safely utilizing that shield, Rifa able to find his way out. But he's going to start getting cornered here, and the corner of a Temple Ground stage is very tricky, as if you're not careful and your opponent is on top of things, they generally have height advantage and can just corner you out hard, but Rifa was able to find his way out and takes the first round. No, Rifa hasn't won yet, but he's making progress. I really need to stop drinking so much tea during these events. It's really nice for my throat, but like, I keep needing to use the washroom. It's a problem. Because I want to focus on these matches, but I want to stay hydrated, but I don't want to use the washroom. It's terrible. Truly a conundrum. I believe button mashes the camera options, makes a fool of herself yet again. As both players step into the ring, Iceman moving back to Chakram Ice Dragon. Rifa has made an adjustment though, switching over to the Slamamander, something a little more capable of just boxing with Iceman and keeping up a bit more of a faster tempo. And so far, it's resulted in both players being a lot more aggressive. And we're already seeing both quickly knocked just below 50% health. Where Iceman being knocked below 50% health, Rifa just on the cusp above. With Iceman quickly getting a charged rush up, might be able just to knock Rifa below half. If he can just get a solid read, a good aim. But a charged Triblast is going to knock Iceman into critical. A second one. Now Iceman one hit away from being taken down. And Rifa going to get a strong read. Takes the next round game. Diving straight into this next round. Iceman switching the Chakram over now for a Sparky. Just trying to find his way to around these tools that Rifa has. Find an answer. And he's really struggling to get that answer as Rifa just continues to pressure him out. Close him, shut him down. Tries to close him out with that rush, but Iceman gonna get a expert read there. And cements himself a strong health lead. Rifa trying to get back in with the aggression, trying to quickly chip down Iceman's health. And he's going to start off with a couple of quick hits, balancing it out within moments of Iceman getting that read. And now Rifa immediately back in an advantage state health-wise, just looking for one confirm to take Iceman down and bring the score to 2-0. And that's going to be it. A vicious rush. As Rifa slaps Iceman down and takes a second game. I like hot slaps more, but the breezy slaps are generally a lot better. More people like to use the Slamamander just because it has those win confirms and it's generally a little bit more steadier. Slapamander, well, Slapamander's a little steadier, but it doesn't have the strong confirms, and overall, if I'm not mistaken, just generally with a lot of plays, it doesn't do as much damage. I'm going to try to fix this one more time. So that means that we need to bring this. If I do that, how does that look? Is there a black? There's a bit of black now. If we enlarge this by... Oh. And then we do... How's that? There's a bit of a black bar again. Yeah, it's not working. Let's undo that. We'll just accept it for who it is. Also, that was a terrible camera angle for that first one. I'm sorry. Rifa gonna start off very strong, takes the first round, and now we have Rifa going in with Slamamander Ice Dragon. A little bit more risky, but with strong movement, this can be a very dangerous loadout, as it's all about good reads and punishes. Getting a nice setup like that, Rifa is going to just take the lead with a heavy amount of damage and a nice grab. Iceman really feeling that fear, that pressure. And now Rifa just looking for one more hit to take Iceman down and move into the winner's bracket. And with a trade, that is going to be it for Iceman as he gets knocked into the lower ends of the brackets. And Rifa moves into the grand finals on the advantage side. Both players showcasing an impeccable fight. Some delightful battles. Let's see. Just looking on how things are going right now. Rimwood has made it over to the lower semis. And we're just waiting on one other side. And it looks like they just finished up. So we're going to have JK facing off against Penzo. And we're going to have that go on stream. Perfectly timed. If I do say so myself. Let's see, I'll have to punch this in for them. Rifa just tearing people apart in the Scrapstar series. This is like his perfect time. If you come across Rifa at this period of time, he's gonna tear you apart. He's unstoppable these hours. The dude is just... Rifa is a monster. He's the best monster, though. I love this monster. He's a great monster. 2, 3, 4, 6. See, how many people are in here? hang on, 10 player bracket. So that lower round 3 is, okay, so that's top 2, top 3. Top 4. So that's top 6. So we're gonna, yeah. There we go. I know you can change the termifications to be a little more easier to interpret too, so I could probably do that at some point. I don't know if I've read that before. I feel like I have, but I don't know. I'm just gonna move on with the brackets instead. And starting things off, we are going to have JK going in with Masengo. Penzo going in with double clapback. A very frustrating loadout, but a very effective one when utilized properly. The double clapback does have a lot of weaknesses, especially against curved arms. But if you're close enough, if you're playing Kid Cobra and you're just pressuring, there's a lot of players that are going to struggle to keep up with you. Starting things up. It also, as it's a heavy arm, both of those clapbacks add another 5 damage, which means every grab Penzo lands is 180 damage instead of that standard 170. Starting things off, Penzo on a very solid lead here is just continuing to catch JK with all of these grabs and is now just looking for a potential rush confirm to take JK down. JK looking to just utilize that yellow mask to potentially overwhelm Penzo and get a rush quickly charged up again, but he's just not able to find the time as Penzo is going to catch him with a 5th, 6th grab. Truly a very frustrating loadout to try to play against. It can just hamper one's spirit. It's one of the loadouts that a lot of the community knows as like a tilting loadout. Like it's one of the ones that a lot of people do generally to BM. Not necessarily all cases. I believe Penzo is not one of those cases, as he knows how to use this loadout, as we are clearly seeing. But it causes a lot of frustrations for a lot of people, as it's just so much wall, so much pressure. And those and one of the dangers to playing against double clapback, double guardian is just how fast those grabs are. Shields have one of the fastest grabs in this game. So you're able just to throw them out, and your opponent generally will get overwhelmed very easily. JK starting to find some nice momentum, gets a couple of quick reads, but he's going to get caught one more time by a grab. And Penzo takes the first round. You have to be especially careful in smaller stages like this, because you basically, once you go into something like this, you need a good curve arm. Manders are an effective counter to it, but there's a problem with Manders, is the fact that they're not as good as stopping curve or shields. In a lot of cases, like you kind of like, Manders are an interesting personality or tool in the ARM scene, as they have some nice curve to them, but in the end they're still pretty straightforward compared to most curve arms. Ram, Chakram, Boomerang. When you throw all of those ones out, you notice that there's this huge change of movement compared to a Mander. Like, if we just, like, compared to what you were seeing there, like, look at how much these move around. They go around a lot more. They're going to cover a lot more ground. They're going to have a lot easier time working around a shield, where Manders can be a little bit more tricky to work around those shields unless you have the space of something like, say, Temple Grounds. Which I believe we're going to be heading over to, this could be a much better stage for JK, as the Manders can have a little bit more opportunity to work around. JK gonna go in as Brass, just looking to wall him out this time. Penzo does have a nade and Hydra though, which can be really tricky for Brass to play against sometimes. JK going in with the Chakram. The Chakram likely going to be a little bit more effective at catching Penzo and working around that clapback. But strong positioning on Penzo's and can just kind of cover those little narrow hallways with the clapback and just give JK a lot smaller space to work with. Starting off, both players at about even. JK taking a couple of hits from his own arms and gets stun confirmed by Penzo, allowing him to deal a hefty amount of damage. JK baiting Penzo out to a perfect moment, gets a strong grab and pushes himself right out of the corner. JK now locked into enraged state. It's going to allow him to have permacharge arms, which can help him out. But he's got to be careful, as a quick grab, a good read on Penzo's end could potentially be the end of him. The quick reflect and the clapback's pressure just knocks JK further into that critical health. And he's going to get caught out by that rush as he throws out a grab, and Penzo going to safely evade it. JK gonna switch over, equips the Thunderbird here. Penzo gonna stick with the nade. Clapback. Just two very good pressuring tools against Brass. Shields are actually a strong counter to Brass, generally putting him in some really rough places. If Brass plays well, he can find his way around, but because of his size, the girth size of his arms, and how his arms are kind of placed, it just allows for a good clapback on a good Kid Cobra. There's a lot of points where they're just gonna wall out Max Brass, especially just with how quick those grabs are. The flex aren't necessarily as effective, as they come out so quickly that half the time you're not even ready for them. JK gonna leap right over that nade and is able to safely evade the explosion. Now just looking for a couple more hits to take Penzo down. A little bit of patience, but it's not going to work out for him. He does catch that grab attempt though, but now is at risk of getting KO'd by this rush. But he's going to leap right around, not even going to take that shield break, and snipes Penzo out of the air with a strong Thunderbird. Penzo switching things up. He's going to equip a Hydra to try to snipe down JK more efficiently. Just a wider jump coverage. And he's going to start off very strong with a couple of hefty grabs, 175 each hit. JK going to finally find an opportunity to push back though. Stunts with the Thunderbird and is going to start getting some momentum going with that buffed state from Max Brass. Gets another solid grab and is quickly turning the tides in his favor. Just looking for a good confirm, and JK could potentially take Penzo down from here, but Penzo is setting himself up so he could potentially take JK as well with just a little bit more damage. Penzo even more in a precarious position. Both players now in rush KO range, and it's going to be that Hydra connecting and the clapback, ending the set with JK being knocked out 2-0. Penzo now moving on to face off against Grimwood in the lower semi-finals. Oh, I'm out of tea. I need to use the washroom again. While these two do stage striking, I'm going to use the washroom again. I'll be right back, loves. In the meantime, there's commands on the screen. You can play with them. They're fun, I promise. I'm back. We're all set. I just need to fix up the names on the scoreboard. Now, Penzo is on the left, and Graham is on the right. And then heading into our first match, we are going to be heading to DNA Lab. Grimwood going in Twintel. Penzo sticking with this loadout is going to continue utilizing Kid Cobra. That clapback pressure being a very scary thing. Self-explosions are also very scary though, as Grim going to quickly capitalize on that charged nature and starts off with a light lead. Grim immediately taking advantage of this lead is going to just kind of back off from Penzo, utilizing these pillars just to make sure he always has an outing. And is going to cement an even further lead as he forces Penzo to chase after him. Penzo struggling to try to find his way around these pillars, is constantly getting punished, caught out. I'd actually even go as far to say that it might be safer for Penzo just to try to focus on these pillars, clear them out, as they're going to end up getting broken down eventually anyways, and it's going to be a lot safer for him just to take them out so they're not a problem in this match. Grimwood safely waiting things out, is able to get a couple of quick hits in and takes the first round. Penzo going to switch over to the Hydra, a little more effective against pillars, but it can still be fairly risky. Penzo lacking any strong curves, could be punished at any moment while Grim waits behind one of these tubes. But this time Penzo going to start off in the lead, which can allow him to, which forces Grimwood to have to be more on the offensive, and it's as such, it's going to allow Penzo to start taking the advantage here and just slowly giving himself a stronger position. Grimwood able to punch down, take advantage of that disarm, get some light damage. Neither player utilizing the rush yet, just waiting things out until the right moment, and that's going to not be enough to KO. But Penzo is now just looking for a little bit more damage. Grim, ready with your rush, is going trying to hold onto that rush to find an opportunity to get in with a strong punish to take Penzo down. He's going to leap right into that, and that's going to connect. Grimwood taking the first game. Those pillars really just giving Penzo a hard time. He was not able to work around them. That's an important thing that a lot of people do need to keep in mind with some of their strategies, is the fact that if you recognize that an opponent has a massive advantage in something like pillars, and you feel like you're going to do better without them, it's actually a pretty solid idea just to be like, alright, so they're in the lead, they're not going to attack me, they're not going to chase me down unless I go after them. might be a good idea for me to take a few step backs. Maybe let them hide in that pillar, but burn down all the other pillars and then come back and try to focus them down. They might try to chase you afterwards, but you can also utilize the fact that they're chasing you to try to give more opportunities to break the pillars or force them into a state where you get some punishes and you can bring yourself back into the lead. Heading into our next match, Penzo going to step in, representing the master of Mumfords. And he's got parabolas. Lots of parabolas. I mean, I get parabola's a pretty cool arm. It's not necessarily for everyone. It's not for me. But that's a lot of parabolas. Starting things off, Grim going to get a couple of quick pokes in and starts off with a light lead. This can be pretty effective and dangerous against Grimwood as there's just very little space. But unless Penzo is getting his tempo, his timing with these attacks right, Grim's generally going to be able to find these windows between, even with such a narrow stage, that he can just evade, get these strong punishes, and he's going to connect with this rush and basically not going to KO yet, but is just looking for one more hit. And those parabolas are not going to work out in his favor in this round. Diving into this next match, neither player changing. Grimwood just was able to utilize his tools exceptionally. But this time is not going to be as much in his favor, as Penzo going to start off with a 350 damage grab. And a 200 to follow it up. Penzo now holding on to a bit of a lead. Gets caught by the stun, followed up by a grab, throw, and Grim slowly balancing out this health pool. Penzo trying to heal up a little bit is not going to have much luck with that though, as just the pressure that Grimwood is able to apply and a strong rush is going to allow Grim to take the lead with a 360. Penzo applying some strong shield pressure, but is not going to be able to make it work out as one more grab seals the deal. And Grimwood moves on to face off against Iceman. It was an interesting strategy. You can kind of see what he might be going for, but Parabola can just get punished so easily. You have so few options out of it. Alright, so heading into our next match, we are going to have Iceman facing off against Grimwood. So far, everybody just keeps rotating. We have the first person, and then the other person, and the other person wins, so I have to put them in the first, so the other person comes in, and then that person who just, new person wins again, so I have to swap it again. Watch, Iceman's gonna take this one, and I'm gonna have to swap it again, and then Rifa's gonna win that one, so I'm gonna have to swap that again. And then Dave is going to win the next one, so I'm going to have to swap that again. It's just an endless cycle. An endless vicious cycle. Alright, let's see, what are they doing? What are they banning? And we're gonna go to the Yemple rounds. The grounds of temples. Alex saying the same thing over but slightly different. It somehow amuses me. Yet I would probably say that's a problem. It's probably some kind of moderate problem that I should attend to, but we're not going to. Grim going to stick with Twintel here. Iceman going in with Min Min. And just looking to utilize this. Both players going in with dragons. Once again, we're having top 3 is all dragons again. Just everybody. What is with the EU and your dragons? You guys have these massive passion for it. Iceman starting off in a slight health deficit. Grimwood successfully getting a couple of quick hits in. But a stun into grab combo is going to give Iceman the lead and pressure advantage. As now Grimwood has to be very careful of that Dragon Arm Sparky, as it's going to quickly careen into his face over and over if he's not careful. Grim just deftly dodging aside all these attacks. Has started to take some shield chip damage though, and if he's not careful, that stun going to be able to recover his arms. But again, he's just taking more shield chip damage. Iceman can easily just wall him out in one of these cases. But he's going to be able to find a chance to recover and starts getting a lead with a couple of charged dragon shots. Both players just focusing on a very long distance game as they're trying to fully capitalize on these dragons and their snipes. Grim going to be the first to throw out his rush. Connects for 330, missing out on the finishing touch due to a slightly off timing. And that's going to allow Iceman to respond with a rush that's going to be enough to KO. Getting the finishing touch and just getting all of it in. Diving right into this next round. Iceman, both players sticking with their loadouts. Iceman going to be the first one to connect with a hit. A second one from 2 Ice Dragon shots in a row. And dives right between the 2 shots and is going to get another 200 damage, cementing himself a pretty solid lead. Grimwood going to land a nice roaster though. And that's going to allow that's going to allow Grimwood to start getting a little bit more tempo, a little bit more breathing room. But Iceman just continuing with this pressure, with this movement, and is just getting out of the way of so many of these attacks. Grimwood starts getting something, but ends up hesitating and allows Iceman to slip out and gets a second attempt at a punish. And now Grimwood, in critical health, does not have any health left to survive that Sparky. And Iceman going to take the first game. What is it with these? I mean, I'm not going to argue. I personally love the dragons too. They're really cool. I've just started dabbling a bit with them on Mechanica again. I might play around with them a little bit more. Usually I'll swap it over to this. There. But it's like, it's all I see in the top of the EU community. Every time there's like 3-4 different dragons somewhere in there. Penzo with his dragon and revolver. Iceman with the Ice Dragon and Sparky. Riffle with his Triblast and Ice Dragon. Like, there's always an Ice Dragon somewhere. I don't think there's been a single Scrapstar that hasn't had Ice Dragon somewhere. Well, there hasn't, because Riff has been all of them. Starting off this next match, Grimwood going to take Iceman to Buster Beach, utilizing a very aggressive Brass, Ram and Nade in tow. But the stage going to work out against him at the start, as Iceman gets a couple of quick hits and puts himself in a lead. Grimwood, taking advantage of Brass's buff state, is able to get a couple of quick hits and starts balancing out the health pools. And with another successful nade, takes down Iceman's Dragon Arm and is allowing him to just start closing in that pressure. Make sure that he's able to take Iceman down. Iceman running out of options here. And is going to get overwhelmed by a heavy rush. Grimwood throwing out enough damage to take Iceman down and gets the first game. Starting off this next round, both players going to give each other space to buff up, charge up, get that Dragon Arm, but Iceman going to be the first one to capitalize on that state as he gets a couple of hits with the Sparky and a quick snap with the Ice Dragon, just dealing some light arm damage. Iceman quickly gets a rush ready. Grimwood not too far away from a rush of his own, but he's going to get caught out by Iceman's, taking 315 damage, and now Iceman going to quickly try to build up another rush. That Ram connecting, going to slow down that build-up though, as that fire element just going to slowly eat away at the opponent's rush meter with every time a charged hit connects. Gets another nice read on Iceman's movement, and now Grim just looking for a nice confirm to get the KO here. It's just barely not going to be enough. Misses out on a bit of damage from a incorrect finishing touch, throwing out the Ram instead. Still a decent amount of damage, but Iceman would definitely be down right now if he got that nade to connect. He's going to throw out another nade though, and no need to worry as Grim takes a game for himself. The EU arm scene has more dragons than the Fire Emblem series. I'm not going to disagree with you there. You're never giving in to the dragon? Dude, Ace Dragon and Fire Dragon are really good. I've seen a couple of... I can actually see Dragon working really well on Twintel. You should seriously try it. It's a fun arm, and playing with it allows you to learn a few really cool tricks and helps you understand how to kind of handle it when you're playing against a dragon. There's no better way to learn how to counter a tool than to use it yourself. And that's why I like to play with a bunch of random other characters. What is the I Bite and Bark? Well then. I mean, I have said it from my own personal experience. I feel like Bite and Bark might actually have an advantage against Brass in certain circumstances. We're going to have to see how that goes, because it looks like Iceman is going to throw on Bite and Bark in this match against Brass. And starts off with a light lead, getting the Roaster and Siki to deal some hefty damage. Iceman not going to be able to have too many opportunities to utilize Bark, as Grim just pressuring him out so hard. And Grim trying to take as many opportunities as he can to knock Bark down, but so far he's just not able to get anything. Finally gets a knockdown on that doggo, and is slowly trying to bring things up. He's going to connect a bit with the rush, finishes with 215 damage. Pillar protecting Iceman from a lot of that rush though. Iceman gonna get caught out by the backside of that nade. Throws out a couple of quick hits. And now Iceman actually arguably might have a KO if he gets the stun. That pillar going to protect Grimwood just enough time and allows him to keep a nice lead. That rush going to be able to connect for just enough damage. And Grimwood going to take the first round. Iceman swapping that Siki over for the Slapamander, looking to just kind of cover a little bit more ground generally. That explosion just not necessarily helping him out as much as another firearm is likely the course of action that he's planning. Starting things off, Iceman is getting a light lead here, slapping down Grimwood, making it a lot more difficult for Grimwood to keep up with this pressure. But a couple of strong nades, nice armor is going to allow Grim to get an opportunity to buff up, but he's going to get caught out by a heavy rush as that deflect parries down every shot of the Hydra. Iceman trying to dodge out of the way of the Hydra, Grim holding onto it and ends up allowing Grim to catch Iceman as he dashes into the nade. A wall of hits brings Iceman to a final frame of health. And this character pick might not seem as good of a choice now, as Grimwood just looking for a little bit more damage to take Iceman down, and has rush advantage. One more Hydra shot is going to be enough, and that brings Grimwood advantage 2 against Iceman. I'd actually say Bite and Bark's a lot better against Brass in smaller stages. You need some really good poking tools, though. Because if you're too slow with Bite and Bark, then Brass is going to overwhelm you. Heading into our next round, Iceman switching over to Ribbon Girl is looking to try to finish things off once and for all with the singing heiress herself. But Grimwood going to start off in the advantage, gets a quick chip with the nade. That's going to give him a little bit more space and room to just find some time to charge up. Grim really trying to take advantage of these pillars just to keep himself in a very safe position, especially since he does have the advantage of the fact that his arms are going to be a lot more curvy. It's going to allow him to more effectively catch Iceman out in a couple of these cases. Grim going to go in ready with a rush, but ends up getting stunned out by a Seiki. Iceman landing a solid grab off of it, but gets caught out as Grim throws out a misses out on the finishing a touch again, but does manage to deal a solid 340 damage. Grimwood patiently trying to hide behind these pillars to maximize their effectiveness, but we're seeing they're quickly going down just with so many straightforward attacks just battering on him. It's causing Grim to slowly run out of options as he's continuing to run back between each and every one, and is going to be knocked into a disadvantage. These pillars just not helping him out enough. Grim now ready with a rush, is likely going to hold on to it, wants to hold on to that lead that he's got. But he's going to get caught out by the Seiki Blast, just not able to stop it. Goes in for one final attack, but it's not going to be enough as Iceman takes the round. Do not disrespect the Seiki Explosion. That thing has a massive blast. And if you're not careful, that could be you. Without these pillars to protect Grim, he's going to swap over to the Hydra, but that's going to allow Iceman to just so much more easily box out Grim, and Iceman now starting off in a massive health advantage. Just constantly chipping Grim down, catching him out with shock after shock, stun after stun. And Grim just really struggling to keep up with this pressure. So far, only being able to land a successful grab once, and an uncharged Hydra blow beyond. A second Hydra connects, Grim slowly starting to make some momentum, bringing things back. But Iceman does have a very lethal rush that could easily take him down right here if Iceman just gets a nice read. And that is going to close it out for this game. Iceman evening out the score with points now 2-2 both ends. I'm glad I'm going to be able to have lunch this time. Yesterday was really tough. I didn't have any time to get any good food or anything to do. Because I had to do dishes in the morning and just all the chaos that was going on there. Grim going to choose the next stage, and it's going to be Temple Grounds. Likely going to want to use the platform, the stage elements of Temple Ground to try to get some height advantage so he can contend a little bit more with Ribbon Girl. Iceman ready to step into the ring. Grim likely changing up his loadout so that he can more effectively fight back against Iceman's loadout, his tool sets. The Hydra not necessarily working out. The Ram was working fairly well, but it looks like Grim is just going to go for a straight change-up to a character that likely does have a better matchup against Ribbon Girl, Kid Cobra. Going in with a clapback popper for that heavy shield pressure and just wide coverage of ground with Kid Cobra's max girth. This can be pretty effective at fighting back against Iceman's two very straightforward arms. But Grimwood still has to be careful of those explosions, as any of them that can hit can just cause so many problems. This likely is going to be a match that's going to have Grim potentially getting a bit of an advantage, but it's really going to come down to the rushes, I feel, for here. Unless Iceman is able to find his way over that clapback, which he has successfully done a couple of times. But in terms of rush alone, Iceman's rush will more often than not trump Grimwood's, especially with the mobility that Iceman just has. He could probably get around, he could bait out a strong rush and just punish it. Grimwood is ready with a rush of his own. Holding onto a light lead is likely going to want to try to just take as much time as possible to get those shots that really make a difference and protect himself, just to slow down this match as much as possible. Grimwood going to get knocked into a health deficit though, but he's going to quickly take that lead back with a couple of quick hits, gets the stun into a grab, and cements himself a nice advantage state. 13 seconds left on the clock, and that height, Grimwood having the height advantage and being able to match Iceman's aim with that clapback is going to allow him to take this first round. Iceman putting that Seiki down, is choosing to opt in with the Tri-Blast here. That's going to compete a little bit more with the popper, but now he doesn't have as steady of a wall to be able to fight back against Grimwood. Grimwood starting off with some nice pressure, a couple of quick hits. Iceman really does not have any options to contend with that clapback though, as all of his arms are just different variations of a very straightforward approach. Both players now ready with rush. Iceman going to want to try to find some manner of a confirm here, but it's going to be exceptionally difficult, as if Grimwood just sees an opportunity, he's going to wall Iceman out, and especially with Iceman just being in such a rough position, that rush could have easily taken him out. Iceman really struggling to keep up with this loadout with his new lighter set, and is very close to getting KO'd just from a couple more hits. A final hit is all Grim needs to take Iceman down, and it's going to be a charge popper. Grimwood moving on to face off against Rifa. And there is Rifa ready for the grand finals. Just fix up the score here. And oh, we do need to give little symbols to indicate informations. And this is it. This is the grand finals. Just over the 2-hour cusp of this tournament. It's taken us to get here. Grimwood's going to need to be able to pull off a bracket reset if he wants to take Rifa down, and will have to win a second time off of that to claim the Scrapstar Series. We're going to start off with Ribbon Girl once more. Did have some good tempo in Buster Beach. Is looking to likely utilize some of the tools that he's starting to figure out here to get a bit more advantage. Rifa just going to stick it out with Ninjara. Temple Grounds being could be a pretty solid stage for Ribbon Girl if Grim is able to get a height advantage. But if Rifa has the height advantage here, that could easily cancel out a lot of Ribbon Girl's abilities. Starting things off, both players just patiently poking back and forth, trying to find any kind of momentum, any strong window to start bringing things in their advantage. Grim very clearly trying to bait out a rush here. Just diving back and forth. He's going to be able to successfully block the majority of it. Does take some light damage. And now is going to try to start pushing the advantage with his own rush. Gonna end up connecting for 140 damage. But that's not going to be enough for Grimwood to really get an advantage in this round. Rifa still holding on with a decent amount of health ahead of Grim, as he's going to be able to get a couple of quick 1-2 hits. Rifa bringing Grim down to critical health is now just looking for a single strong confirm. Any damage at this point should be enough to take Grimwood down. With a few seconds left on the clock, Rifa's going to let Grimwood load up on rush. Both are just going to dance, recognizing that there's very little Grim could do in this case. Heading into our next round. Both players ready with rush. Grimwood switching that dragon out for a Mander. He's going to get caught out though as he tries to punish Grimwood's rush and ends up taking 170 damage. Grim starting off in a very advantaged position here, getting a couple of nice hits. Grim continuing to get some very strong reads here and has just cemented himself a massive health lead and almost has another rush ready just off of these several quick and powerful blows. Grimwood now ready with the rush. Likely is going to want to hold on to it here. He's got a pretty sizable advantage. Doesn't want to make too big of a risk, as that could easily cost him a lot of momentum or give Rifa a strong advantage in this next round. Both players trading back and forth. Rifa trying to find some opportunity to start bringing this back. Sees a moment where Grim wanted to go for the shield. Gets a nice amount of damage. And he's going to go straight in for that rush. Ends up not getting it to fully connect, but does push Grim just at the cusp of a critical health. Grim looking to try to finish Rifa off now so that he can move in with a rush advantage, and he's going to be able to have that. As that rush just did not work out for Rifa. Diving into this next round, Rifa going to be the first one to connect, landing a charged Tri-Blast and a Slamamander. Grimwood going to have to start bringing things back. He does have a rush ready though, and that can easily equalize these health pools. But Rifa is able, just off of a bunch of quick throws, a bunch of attacks, now has a rush ready of his own. And that advantage that Grimwood started off with is now quickly disappearing as Rifa continues to cement a further and further lead. That rush going to come out. Rifa not even going to try to punish it with anything too strong. Just make sure that he is well out of way of Grimwood's rush in any way whatsoever and takes no damage. Grim finally finding a couple of quick hits in with the Tri-Bolt, but is now in critical health. And a Shield Breaker rush could potentially take a hefty amount of damage, or just throwing it out in the air. Rifa going to take the first round. Let's see, where do I think we're going to be going? We're probably going to go to Scrap Inspire. We're probably going to see Buster Beach. I'm just going to... Oh no, we're going to DNA Lab. This is a risky play. Grimwood's going to be playing in probably one of Rifa's stronger stages. Rifa, with the advantage, is going to move over to Mechanica, celebrating her victory in the last of the... or in the most recent of the potty crashes. And we've got Friezika in the ring. Those test tubes really sound like I'm just turning on Splatoon or something. Starting things off. Rifa going to get a freeze. Is not able to follow up with anything. But does get a second one and is slowly giving himself a light lead. But Grim finds a nice opportunity to go in for a grab punish. And starts finding himself a little tempo to bring things back. And that roaster! Not gonna... Rifa trying to anticipate it, but just plans a little too early. And ends up getting knocked down by it. Grim gonna try to go in for the rush. It's going to connect as the pillar falls right beside Rifa. And now both players very close on health, with Grim at a very slight advantage. Gets another blow in with that roaster. And now Grim just looking for a little bit, another strong hit. That stun is going to be enough as he lands the grab and KOs Rifa. Diving into this next round, Grimwood going to be the first one to connect. Gets a nice hit with that roaster. A very dangerous weapon for Mechanica, as that speed is just so difficult for her to keep up with. And fire elements are generally a very effective tool against a mech. Goes in for the 360 on the rush. Gonna try to get a wake-up grab on there, but Rifa gonna safely dodge out of the way. Able to not get caught by anything as Rifa tries to go in for a stun, a punish, or a capitalization on the stun he lands. Rifa is knocked into the red. This Friezika just not really working out for him. Just feeling a lot of pressure, getting caught up by a lot of hits. And Rifa gonna find an opportunity to get a grab off of that freeze, finally getting something to work out for himself. Still needs a little bit more damage to get the lead after a quick 1-2 is going to be advantage, and just chooses to shut Grim down here with a strong rush, bringing the score to 1-1. Grimwood responding to this, switching over to a Chilla of his own for maximum stun comboing. And with a rush, he's going to be able to connect, going to deal a little bit less because the Chilla just doesn't dish out as much. But these freezes can be very beneficial, as he's going to get another one. Gets another freeze chain going, and he's going to quickly take Rifa down to a magic pixel. Just looking for a single hit more, and that's going to be a Chilla, bringing the score to 1-1. Oh, wait. Yeah, we'll get rid of this. I'm guessing another open stage. No! We're going to go Via Delche this time. I'm guessing Rifa's going to switch over to one of his more aggressive characters. He might be hitting that random button all of a sudden again. Rifa does love that button, and he will press it very often. And with that, we are going to see Rifa switching over to Masango for this next round. And starts off throwing on that blue mask, basically Ninjara right now, which is going to be a little bit tricky for Grimwood to keep up with. But that Megawatt can That Megawatt can be pretty scary, but as long as Grimwood is just keeping that movement going, the Megawatt really struggles to keep up with an opponent. One of the best features of something like the Megawatt is just how solid of a rush trump it is. But considering Rifa does have the yellow mask, it might not have that much of a purpose here. Both players trading blows back and forth. Grimwood does have a light advantage, but this is going to give Rifa time to throw on that yellow mask. But he's going to get knocked straight out of it as a roaster blow finds its way to his face. Grim going to find an opportunity to get a stun, follows up with a grab. 30 seconds left on the clock, and Rifa has very little health to work with, and a lot of health on Grimwood's side that he's going to have to fight through. He's not going to get the chance, though, as Grimwood gets one more catch in with the roaster and takes an advantage. Starting this next round, Rifa going to quickly throw on the red mask, but he's going to get knocked out of it. A clean roaster to the face is going to give Grim an advantage. Another stun. Grim going to go in for the grab and just continues dealing in some heavy damage. Keeps himself in a strong lead and just kind of patiently trying to wait things out. Not get too caught up in anything so that Rifa can't dive straight in for a punish with a rush. Grim going to get caught out by the Phoenix. This allows Rifa to throw on that red mask. And now, in a very strong position, gives him a very safe rush and knocks Grim into near critical health. Grim going to continue fighting. He only needs a quick rush and a little bit more damage, but he's not going to have that chance. As one more blow makes its way to Grim, and balances the score out. Rifa switching over from the Megawatt and is now going to utilize the Burchuck. Safely blocks the rush, tries to go in for a punish, but Roaster Chilla just catching him out a little too much. Recognizing that Grim was going to go for that grab, Rifa going to be able to successfully break out of that freeze and pushes Grim into the corner. That double punch not going to work out for Grim this time, as Rifa going to deal a 295 damage rush and is now just a couple hits away from taking Grimwood down. Grim focusing on a flurry type approach, just throwing out punch after punch, trying to overwhelm Rifa. Rifa just kind of patiently waiting things out, is able to get another Phoenix to connect, and is now just looking for any stray connection. And that Phoenix going to bring the score to 2. Or this is going to give the advantage 2-1. Oops. Rafango winning does good. And we're going to go straight back into Via Dolce. Chances are good we're going to be seeing some kind of brass. Rifa going to be going in as Master Mumford here. Grimwood going to go in as Twintel instead. This could actually work out pretty well for Twintel as well. But if Rifa does have some strong pressure, Master Mummy can really shut down a Twintel, especially when he's got buff in tow. And Rifa going to start off going in with the Retorture and the buff here. This could be match point. If Rifa takes this, he will have won his 10th Scrapstar Series. Grim really needing to go all out on this to fit and best this Master of Mumfords. Last time we saw this stage, a previous match we did see, Grim did have Twintel in here facing off against a double Parabola Master Mummy. This match going to probably play out a little bit more differently, as this Mumford has a couple more tools and is going to try to do a rush punish, but Grim going to be able to connect with a couple of quick hits and gets 195 off of it. Rifa successfully healing a little bit of health with that shield is going to allow himself to slowly bring himself back into an advantage state with just a couple of quick hits, and now ahead of Grim on the health pool, just dodging between all of these attacks and just throwing shot after shot. Gonna get caught out by another grab. Both players just about ready with their rushes. Grim going to be the first to charge up and is going to be able to connect with his rush, taking Rifa down. And gains a point on the score. Needs to be able to take this next round as well. Otherwise, he risks having Rifa be able to bring things all the way back and potentially finish this tournament. Rifa putting the torture away and has chosen to put on a dragon, a flaming beast for 320 damage off of a strong initial rush. Grim trying to keep up with this, but this pressure just overwhelming him at this moment. Not able to make any strong connections and just slowly getting sniped down time and time again. Going to finally find an opportunity to get some damage. Try and catches Rifa as he tries to heal out his health. Grim trying to quickly burn in as much damage as possible to balance this out. A moment potentially to go in for Rush, but Grim going to hold out, waiting just for another chance, potentially later down the road, or wants to hold on to it for what might be a third match. Both players just waiting things out, trying to see what the other is going to do. Rifa utilizes his rush, expecting Grim to try to punish it. And this is just going to allow Rifa to get one more shot in. Now neither player ready with a rush. And match point is on the horizon. Rifa changing up one more time. Grim putting on double roasters. And Rifa switching over to double retorture. Now having very little defensive option. But just a lot of waves and just coverage with these attacks. Rifa really needs to focus on his evasive movement with Master Mummy, which is an especially difficult thing to do with that large body just constantly getting caught out by these roasters. Grim going to take a strong advantage here. And Rifa just comfortably hiding back in this corner, just choosing to not get too far out. Not utilizing Mumford's pressuring, but he's going to be able to find a nice rush for 365. Starts pushing himself out a bit, and he's going to get caught out by that rush. Now at critical health, a grab or a charged roaster will be enough. But Rifa going to slip by several strikes, but one is going to finally connect. Brings the score to 2-2. Grimwood will need to take this next game in order to set things up for a potential bracket reset. If he's not capable of doing that, Rifa will be able to take him down this one final time and close out the 10th Scrapstar. Rifa taking us to Temple Grounds. Grim going to switch over to Springman. Not interested in Via Dolce after that match. Just doesn't want to see it again. And Rifa going to make one final attempt with Min Min. This could be a little tricky for Grim if he's not careful, as that Scully can just come out so quickly. And it has some pretty solid ability to just kind of poke in between these deflects. Two Chillas can be pretty effective at punching through that though. But he's got to be careful of the Megaton as in effect as well. Grim does have a pretty strong loadout for just punching through this Springman. Grim really going to need to be able to utilize those deflects, and if he can't, this could be really an advantage for Rifa. Playing such a mobile character, just stacking in so many stacks of poison. Grim going to finally find a way out, lands a strong grab. But he's going to get caught out by this rush. That's not going to be enough. Rifa missing out on the Megaton end of that rush. Grim would be basically only one hit away from being taken down by now if Rifa was able to connect that. But Grim's going to stay in this fight. Lands a 290 damage rush. Not ready for that grab though, and is now one hit away from getting KO'd after that Scully. Has to be especially careful. Grim trying to take advantage of that pillar, but it's only going to hold out for so long and eventually breaks out. Rifa, now ready with the rush, is going to utilize that pressure to try to close in the distance between Grim and him. And he sees a moment to go in for the rush, but Grim going to safely block it. Feeds Grim a lot of rush. Grim continuing to throw out a wall of attacks, and he's finally going to get a hit in it or two. But tries to go in for the punish, but the Scully just sneaking in right above him. As Rifa still had a very, very slight height advantage. And now we're on what might potentially be, once again, match point. Rifa switching over to the Mander here. Not looking to cover himself as much with the Megaton and just have something that can kind of catch Grim's movement as he tries to respond to the Scully. Grim gonna try to catch him off guard, but Rifa just ready to throw out a strong rush and is now just one or two hits away from taking Grim out once and for all. But Grim's starting to get a couple of nice freezes and is gonna get a good grab. Now just needs one more hit and a rush to be able to bring the score to 1-1. And he's gonna throw it out, starts getting a couple of hits. That's not gonna be enough. He does need just one final hit. But he's also on the last hit as well. So this is a very tricky place. Rifa going to have rush advantage, but ends up getting sniped down. Achilla finding its way to his face. Rifa switching back to the Megaton. Grimwood sticking with the double Chilla loadout. And is going to safely block this initial rush. Takes a bit of chip damage, but is going to be able to charge up a lot of rush in exchange. Grim now ready with rush, is likely going to want to try to close in this distance to find an opportunity to get some strong damage in. But Rifa going to recognize it, safely blocks it, and gains a massive boost of rush in exchange. And continues on with his advantage state. Grim going to dive in with another grab, quickly tries to charge up, gets a nice freeze. Tries to go in for another grab there, and a double punch. But Rifa just dodging out of the way of these attacks several times, and lands 140 damage from that Megaton. Grimwood now ready with a rush of his own. Both players are in very critical position, and a strong hit and a rush can potentially close it out for either end. Rifa also just looking for a single poke from the Scully at this point. Grim trying to play exceptionally safe here. Just walling out, going back and forth with walls of Achilles, but it's not going to be enough as he is taken down by a Min. And Rifa closes out the Scrapstar Series 3-2. Utilizing multiple characters by the end of this. Both players just all over the place with their character choices. And with that said and done, I am clearly a little worn out, so my commentary started to suffer. But we did get a pretty exceptional match. Rifa besting Grimwood 3-2 and is going to take his 10th Scrapstar Series in a row. Congratulations to him. And with that said and done, that it draws to the end of this Scrapstar Series. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching Rifa dominate the brackets 10 times in a row. Here's to 10 more, 30 more, potentially. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. If you enjoyed the stream, want to see more of my stuff, be sure to hit follow, or you could join me in Discord and Twitter, where I generally am most active. In about 2.5 hours, we'll be back with the NA brackets for the Scrapstar series. Until then, thank you all for watching. Ciao!